Okay. The standard of review, this is in our motion as well as in the application, is the special contract necessary? Number two, does the special contract result in operational and/or economic benefits for Evergy and its customers? And three, will the special contract result in just and reasonable rates? Our just brief analysis is under point one, yes, it is necessary. The ESA is necessary because it delivers on expectations and commitments made in order to secure Panasonic's investment in Kansas, and will help unlock future investment to allow the facility to realize its full economic development potential. Number two, does the special contract result in operational or economic benefits for Evergy and its customers? Well, the answer to this is yes. The ESA helps secure additional load for payment of fixed costs. It includes numerous risk management provisions and tools to protect Evergy and its customers. So it assures payment of fixed costs and has many, many protections for those Evergy customers. And will the special contract result in just and reasonable rates? Yes, particularly in light of the economic benefits provided by the facility and the necessity for the ESA as part of the package to secure Panasonic's investment. The rate structure is just and reasonable under the circumstances. Closing comments. The ESA supports the largest economic development project in the history of the state of Kansas. It delivers on expectations and commitments essential to Panasonic's decision to invest in this state and in this community. And it helps assure that Panasonic can actually deliver on those economic development expectations and hopes. It's supported by all parties with no opposition to this docket. It was the result of a long and profound effort by both public and private leaders of the state to bring this type of project to the state of Kansas. It meets the commission's three-part test for approval, and therefore all the parties, and in particular Evergy and Panasonic, the joint applicants, are requesting that it be approved here today. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate all your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wolford. I have Herb next on my list, but just want to confirm Panasonic did not intend to make a statement.
That's correct.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Flaherty. Okay, Mr. Astrab.
Thank you, Chair French. May I proceed? Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Joseph Astrab, and I am the Consumer Counsel for the Citizens Utility Ratepayer Board, better known as CURB. We are the government agency tasked with representing the interest of residential and small commercial ratepayers in matters before the Kansas Corporation Commission. Today, CURB is here to support the joint motion to approve the energy supply agreement between Evergy and Panasonic Energy Corporation. CURB signed onto this motion because the service agreement represents the conclusion of the efforts to bring a new industry to the state and the benefits that such a customer can provide the electrical system. In our response to staff's report and recommendations, CURB concurred with staff's analysis and the appropriate criteria by which to evaluate the agreement. A customer like Panasonic is projected to use more electricity than virtually any other customer in Kansas. As such, these rates were designed to recover variable cost and to contribute to existing fixed cost recovered from all customers. But unlike other special contracts, the ESA here includes additional safeguards and conditions from the recently approved large load power service tariff to ensure a minimum level of revenue will be provided from Panasonic in the event that projected usage is not achieved. Further, the rates in this contract are designed as a block rate structure that limits how much usage will be subjected to discounted rates, while also paying for all other applicable surcharges and riders. In that regard, the adoption of terms from the LLPS tariff is meaningful to CURB. We are hopeful that this economic development project will provide significant benefits in the near future, both for developing large industries in Kansas and for providing downward rate pressure for all other ratepayers. CURB has recognized the great effort that state and community leaders have put forward to bring Panasonic to Kansas. So at the conclusion of today's presentation of evidence, we will ask the Commission to approve the agreement so that Kansans can start to experience the benefits of this new chapter in the state's economic development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Astrab. And finally, Ms. Hain with the KCC staff.
Good morning, Commissioners. As Counsel for Evergy and CURB have just described, the parties in this docket are unanimous regarding the request that the Commission approve the energy supply agreement between Evergy Kansas Central and Panasonic Energy Corporation of North America. I just want to take a few minutes to highlight KCC staff's particular position regarding why we have joined with Evergy, Panasonic, and CURB to recommend approval of the ESA. Staff evaluated the CSA application using the accepted framework for evaluating special contracts outlined in dockets 1A13 and 24689. First, staff examined whether the agreement is necessary. Staff asserts that the ESA is necessary to meet the economic goals of the state in locating the Panasonic plant in Kansas. Staff also asserts that the ESA is necessary to build the Panasonic plant to its full production capacity. Second, staff examined whether the agreement results in operational and/or economic benefits for Evergy and its customers. Staff asserts that the special contract has multiple safeguards in place to protect Evergy and its customers and to promote the utilization of the generation capacity already accounted for in Evergy's system. Third, staff examined whether the agreement results in just and reasonable rates. Staff asserts that the ESA contains significant minimum bill protections and contributions to Evergy's fixed costs while recovering its variable costs to serve Panasonic. Ultimately, staff asserts that the ESA is just and reasonable and is well supported by public policy objectives declared by the state of Kansas. We ask that the Commission find that the ESA satisfies the three prongs of the Commission's longstanding framework used to evaluate special contracts. And we therefore ask that the Commission find that this ESA is just and reasonable and approve the unanimous agreement that the parties have reached. Staff witness and Director of Utilities Justin Grady is available to testify as to staff's report and recommendation and to answer any questions that the Commissioners have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Hain. All right, now that we've concluded with opening statements, we will move to the examination of witnesses, and looks like I have Evergy first. You may call your witness.
Thank you, Chair French. May it please the Commission. Evergy calls Jason Clint.
I'll have you swear him in.
We solemnly swear the testimony that you give today in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
So help me God, yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you please state your name for the record?
Sure, Jason Clint.
And what is your position with Evergy?
I'm the Senior Director of External Affairs, which means that I cover the topic areas of economic development, government affairs, and Tier 1 are our largest customers.
Okay.
We like to call it the fun department.
The fund department. You're the leader of the fund department. Let's see how that works out today. Okay. Mr. Clint, are you the Jason Clint that provided written testimony in this docket on
I am.
October 1st, 2025?
I am.
And if asked to testify in direct examination, would your testimony be substantially the same as is set forth in your written direct testimony?
Yes.
I'd pass the witness.
All right. Well, since we have a unanimous agreement in front of us, I assume all the parties are waiving cross-examination, so we will move directly to Commissioner questions. Commissioners, do you have any questions? I'll begin with Commissioner Keen.
Just a few, thank you. Morning, Mr. Clint.
Good morning.
Let's focus in a brief colloquy on the interests of Evergy customers. Mr. Wolford, in his opening statement, which I thought was really quite well done and provided a pretty good summary of the ESA, um, alluded to risk management tools within the ESA that protect both Evergy and Evergy customers. Let's focus on those tools that assist and provide benefits to Evergy customers. Could you review those for us?
Yes, I think what tools he's referring to are the protections that you also see in the LLPS that was approved earlier. Those include a monthly minimum bill so that should the client have a production, let's call it a snafu, that they don't meet it, that our customers still have that monthly minimum bill there. They also have the termination fees. So should they decide to leave early, they'll be held for those fees. The collateral that backs that up to make sure that the company has the ability to do that, that they, we don't go after an empty LLC, to make sure that there is collateral benefits there. And then finally, the 10-year kind of goal there that allows us to have some certainty about them staying around. I think those are the biggest benefits from the LLPS standpoint. There are also, of course, the benefits that I think you alluded to, which is just that, and staff and Curb alluded to as well, which is just the not only the jobs, primary and indirect, but also the helping contribute toward the fixed costs, which helps all customers have reduced rates. I think those are a lot of the benefits that we talked about.
Okay. Ms. Haynes, in her opening statement on behalf of the staff, alluded to operational safeguards within the ESA. Have you just alluded to those yourself?
Boy, I hope so, because I don't know what those are. If that's not it.
Okay. I really haven't, the pre-filed testimony, together with a review of the ESA itself, provides me with pretty ample documentation for me to feel comfortable making a decision. So I have no further questions at this time.
All right, Commissioner Keither, do you have questions?
Yeah, my concern I didn't find anywhere was what happened after 10 years.
So, Commissioner, what would happen then is they would either have to come in and make the case for a new special contract, or they would go on rates that are current at that time.
So there's a chance could just go on in perpetuity for that.
Yeah, it would be similar to other special contracts that you see generally every 5 years, as opposed to every 10 years in this case. Yes.
Right. Okay, great. I just wanted to clarification. Thank you.
All right, I had something along the same lines. Good morning, Mr. Clint.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good to see you. So yeah, it's interesting. This is a 10-year term initially, as opposed to some of the others, which we've seen as 5 years. Would it be fair to say that initial 10-year term, that's the contract that the company or Evergy would view as what was necessary to meet the state's obligations of incenting Panasonic to come?
Yes.
So renewals beyond that would be based on a different justification?
Yeah, I think that what we do with other special contracts when they come due is they get updated in terms of pricing to make sure that they reflect the correct pricing going forward. What that will look like 10 years from now, I probably shouldn't speculate on.
Probably a good idea. This is a general and expansive question, and it's probably not just specific to Panasonic, but if you can share what any discussions within the company have been related to your stable of special contracts, including this one, and how we may be viewing those in the new world of shrinking capacity availability. We've got an LLPS tariff now for new large load customers. Panasonic got in under the wire before that became available. And this contract is the fulfillment of sort of commitments that were made ahead of the current conditions. But moving forward, would you expect how would you expect to analyze whether the company is interested in renewing special contracts, given that we are now proposing to actually charge new large load customers more than a typical industrial customer, and the fact that we don't have a glut of supply and transmission capacity? Is there any change in how you all are viewing renewal of special contracts?
Well, first, Commissioner, I want to thank you for this opportunity to get myself in trouble. But I think that I would differentiate it between projects that are coming now and causing generation versus legacy projects that have been here and been a part of the backbone of this state for a long time. And so the new projects that might think would be a special contract, they're going to be on an LLPS rate, right? So I think when I look at those that are already our legacy contracts, I would imagine that I would continue to look at those the same way we have been, because just because of their generational contribution to Kansas ratepayers as being a part of that, and because they weren't the cause of this. Kansans have benefited greatly from those projects being online and contributing to the fixed costs for decades now. And so I don't think that it would be fair to suddenly turn and say, well, great, now because you're large, now you have to pay even more. That's how I would view it. And, if I want to, I may change my opinion, but at the moment, that's how I would view it.
Yeah, I'd like to take that conversation a little farther, but it probably goes beyond the scope of why we're here today. So we'll reserve some of that for future discussions. I realize Panasonic was probably the better person for this next question, but I already released them as a witness. Do you, off the top of your head, can you ballpark the magnitude of economic incentives that Panasonic is receiving as part of the Apex bill? And particularly, could you quantify that in comparison to the economic benefits of this ESA?
You're right. Panasonic is the better. I have not studied all their incentives that they have from state and county. So I don't know that I'm the best person to answer that question, Commissioner.
Totally fair. All right. The last thing I want to ask you about here, I'm going to do my best. I'm not going to say any confidential numbers, but if anybody wants to cut me off and go into special session, we can. But I had a question about the guardrails for customers and how this is, how customers might be protected if, for instance, Panasonic decided to greatly expand its facility. So there is a contract amount that is Evergy's only required to serve, and that's located in an appendix in the contract. And anything above that, you don't have to serve. So that's one guardrail, right?
Mm-hmm.
I also noticed that the way the rates are designed, the blocks of rates, is you have a discounted rate in the first block, then you have a next block which has an even further discounted rate. But then in the third block, which is anything above this KWH, it's a higher number. I don't even know if it's a discounted number. It's probably closer to a full retail rate. That's as close as I'll get to saying numbers. Is that an intentionally designed safeguard to try to recoup additional costs if demand was much higher than expected and you had to then make investments to serve that much higher demand? Or is there some other reason for that rate design?
You're exactly right in the way that you described the rate. And I think the intent there is to be able to continue to serve Panasonic and also deliver upon the commitments that we've made. We believe that rate does that. In terms of you're starting to get into the math area, and where I would direct you is Brad Lutz is here. If you want to, he's probably better service to answer that question. I don't have the concern maybe though that you do, which is that, oh my gosh, what if they came and asked for a gigawatt of load? Because we would then enter into a discussion with them and have a new contract. And again, take into account all the things we've taken into account here, the infrastructure to serve, the energy, the capacity pricing, all of that. So I guess that isn't my worry, to be honest with you. There's a lot of things that I worry about. That's not one of them.
Yeah, that's kind of probably where I ended up back, because I saw, I mean, your obligations are limited to the contract capacity. So that makes sense. I don't believe I have anything else. Did anything I or the other commissioners say spur any more questions?
Well,
Commissioner Keen.
it's just to give you the opportunity to walk the plank yet again.
Thank you.
Problem. Just in terms of perspective here, primarily for the public. What role and responsibilities does Evergy, Kansas Metro have within the context of this facility and the energy supply agreement?
In terms of Evergy, Kansas Metro.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, as you know, this is in Evergy, Kansas Central. So Evergy, Kansas Central customers will be the ones that will get the benefits of the increasing load and the ancillary. Evergy, Kansas Metro may see some of that indirect jobs that may also be attracted, may locate. It's very close to the line. When you look at EKCE and EKM, this facility is very close. I would imagine you'll see some spillover.
That's what prompted the question.
Yeah, I imagine you'll see some spillover both from other projects, suppliers and others that want to be close to this, but also residents who are looking for jobs. I mean, you're going to see a significant number. So this is impactful for Evergy, Kansas Metro as well, because I think they're going to get some benefit from this as well. Had this been at the far end of the territory of Evergy, Kansas Central the other way, then maybe that wouldn't be the case. But because of where this is located, there's benefits for both Metro and Central.
Is there any cost sharing relationship between Metro and Central?
I'm sorry, repeat
Any
the question.
cost sharing relationship incidental to this contract?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, no further questions.
All right. Seeing no additional questions from the commissioners, we thank you for your testimony today, Mr. Clint, and you may step down. Before I turn away from Evergy, I saw a flurry of activity. Do you wish to be heard on any of the questions, or would you like me to call an additional witness?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that question?
I was just asking Evergy if they were wishing to call another witness to address some of the questions.
I just a couple of things on the economic impacts and public, I guess the public dollars spent. Mr. Clint obviously wasn't really prepared to answer that question. I would point you to, in the testimony of Mr. Swan, there was an attached study from the Wichita State University Barton School of Business that had, I guess maybe not attached, but it was linked. And perhaps we can make that part of, we could submit that as part of the record for your benefit too. It has a good summary of some of the public dollars spent and the impacts related to that. And then on page 7 of Mr. Swan's testimony, there are a number of, I guess, specific call outs to both dollars spent, input, and then output, which were highlighted in my opening. But those might be valuable to the commission if we want to put the Wichita State study in the record. That might be helpful for you to answer those questions. In addition, if there are any questions that you had that weren't answered, we can call Mr. Lutz to the stand to address anything related to anything like that.
Well, first of all, is there any objection to Evergy submitting the referenced Wichita State study as a late filed exhibit? Seeing none, we'll have you just go ahead and file that.
We
into the
will,
record.
yes.
Do a notice of filing. I'm really tempted to have Mr. Lutz come up and discuss, but I don't think it's necessary unless the other commissioners have questions. I think I've had my questions answered sufficiently. So,
Okay.
thank you though.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
With that, and I might just ask them of staff's witness. With that, we'll turn to staff. You may call your witness. And I'll have the court reporter swear him. Thank you.
I do.
Good morning, Mr. Grady. Please state your name for the record.
Good morning. My name is Justin T. Grady.
And what is your current title at the KCC?
I'm the Director of the Utilities Division.
Mr. Grady, were you a part of the team of KCC staff who filed the report and recommendation in this docket on December 5th, 2025?
Yes.
Do you have any corrections or changes to make to that report and recommendation at this time?
So you'll love this because you and I haven't had a chance to talk about this. Yeah, so the report and recommendation had an inaccurate docket caption and an inaccurate docket number when it was written. And I believe originally, I think this is just an administrative error in the maybe in the KCC's docket room, but it refers to Evergy, Kansas South, and not Evergy, Kansas Central. So those are the only revisions that need to be made, right? In anywhere within that document where either in the docket caption or the docket number that refers to Evergy, Kansas South, it should be Evergy, Kansas Central. And those are the only corrections that I would have if we were going to make those.
With that, I tender the witness for examination. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, commissioner questions, beginning with Commissioner Keen.
Thank you, Chair French. Good morning, Justin.
Hey, good morning.
Same line of questioning I directed to the witness for Evergy. If you would, again, from your perspective, identify what you believe to be the however you want to characterize this, the risk management tools or the operational safeguards that are contained within the ESA, especially as they relate to ratepayers.
Sure. So the elements of this particular special contract that really stand out compared to, the 3 or 4 other special contracts that exist, the commission has previously approved for this company or one of its subsidiaries. The major, I would say it ranks number 1 would be the minimum bill provisions of the contract. So the numbers are confidential, but you obviously have the confidential version. And if you look at the total minimum bill requirements for this contract, and then compare that to the maximum kilowatt demand that Panasonic can put on the system, right? That is a substantial minimum bill requirement in terms of dollars per kilowatt month. I mean, even in the minimum bill provisions do step up, right? It starts at a certain level and then it steps up. Even at the initial level, compared to the total maximum demand that Panasonic might put on this system, even at that level, that's a significant minimum bill provision for this contract. And the reason that that's so important is because those are the fixed costs. That's the fixed cost recovery revenue stream that protects both Evergy and its existing customers in terms of, an unexpected slowdown in production. If Panasonic were to develop some sort of significant behind the meter generation source that's not currently anticipated, right? That the minimum bill provision is a very important part of the guardrails and what you can characterize it as operational, benefits or controls. But that's a very important part of the contract. And those sort of fixed price recovery components of this particular contract are by far and away the most robust of any other special contract I've ever reviewed. The other factors that Mr. Clint referred to are accurate as well in terms of a 10-year contract. It's helpful in this regard, coupled with those significant minimum bill provisions, because it says that, look, for the next 10 years, this company is going to pay for, the fixed costs, infrastructure costs that are necessary to serve it. All right, there's a 10-year certainty in that regard. Production declines or market demand changes between now and then notwithstanding, and then, so the 10-year contract also does somewhat closely align with the large load power service minimum contract timeframe. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that really stands out. I guess some elements of this contract that are more robust than any other the commission's ever seen are those collateral requirements as well. There's sort of a sliding scale of collateral requirements based on the creditworthiness of the entity. And the reality is a lot of those provisions made their way into this special contract because Evergy and Panasonic were well aware of the fact that the large load power service tariff was pending before the KCC, right? So it was, the chair alluded to it earlier that Panasonic sort of, slid in under the wire, or, it's like the last special contract that we will be reviewing and approving in a pre-large load power service tariff world. But yet still, this special contract contains some of those customer protective elements, those guardrails that we found positive in the large load power service tariff.
All right, thank you. That's helpful. Let me ask a related question I asked again. Given the proximity of the Panasonic plant to it's clearly within the Evergy Kansas Central footprint, but its proximity is incredibly close to that of Evergy Kansas Metro. Can you explain how it is that even within Evergy, the decision was made to basically have Evergy Kansas Central make Evergy Kansas Central its sole undertaking?
So I think the answer to that question is just the fact that the DeSoto location where Panasonic is located is in Evergy Kansas Central's retail service territory, right? And so The Retail Electric Suppliers Act requires the KCC to divide the state of Kansas into service territories, exclusive retail service provider service territories. And so, to be honest, I'm not sure it would even be possible, absent legislative change, to somehow co-serve one retail customer like that. That's something I'd have to think about. I mean, the commission can approve an arrangement between two electric providers to swap territory, but I'm not aware of any arrangement in which two retail providers are providing, say, half of the load for an individual customer within the territory. The other thing I think, just to share, some of my thoughts about the issue, because I've thought about it a little bit in terms of, is it reasonable for Evergy Kansas Central customers to absorb the impact of this discount, if you want to think about it that way, where there might be some, spillover benefit to Evergy Kansas Metro? I mean, the way I would think about this is, the math of this special contract, just from a pure electric system planning and rate making perspective, right? It makes sense. It's just and reasonable on its own when you consider the cost of providing this capacity, and you consider the infrastructure costs that Evergy Kansas Central has incurred to serve this customer. There's a benefit there for existing Kansas Central customers. And so it's not like Evergy Kansas Central customers are being harmed because their utility chose to serve this customer. It's the opposite. This special contract still has benefits. At the end of the day, the revenue stream still has benefits for the non-Panasonic captive customers of Evergy Kansas Central, right? And so the way I think about those indirect benefits, or maybe people locating in and around or near the service territory, those are all sort of incremental add-on benefits that are just ancillary to the decision to bring this large customer to the state of Kansas. So it's a little weird in that there probably will be some spillover benefit for Evergy Kansas Metro, but there will probably be some spillover benefit for the city of Kansas City Board of Public Utilities or Wyandotte County, or, it's just general economic development benefits for the state of Kansas and in that portion of the state. So I don't know if that's helpful at all. And the other thing I would say, I guess, is because these are separate utilities, if you think back, Evergy started planning the commission started basically acknowledging the planning that was occurring to serve Panasonic in the 23-775 docket. All of the costs associated with serving Panasonic, the generation supply investments, whatever kind of bolstering of the infrastructure that was included in that rate case was in Evergy Kansas Central's rates, right? So it's, from that perspective, it's, the pure revenue, electric system planning, and rate design benefits are all Evergy Kansas Central's, and that's appropriate because, all of the costs that are necessary to serve this customer are also in Evergy Kansas Central's rates. So at least that's my perspective on it.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the granularity of that response. I have no further questions.
Commissioner Keither, any questions? I'm probably going to ask a rhetorical question. Well, it is a rhetorical question here, but
Don't hold back.
I've similar to Commissioner Keen, I guess I've heard the angst from, let's just be honest, I think it's Wichita is frustrated that they're paying for a special contract that's, for a facility that's in the Kansas City region. I don't know if I'm missing any. This may be the first special contract in that part of Evergy, Kansas Central, up in the northern part of the state. But would it be fair to say that the DeSoto customers and the Olathe customers that are on Evergy Central, that they're paying for the Spirit special contract and the Occidental Chemical special contract and the Holly Frontier special contract that are down in the southern part of the EKC footprint?
Yes, it would. Just real quick, allow me to elaborate just a little bit. Okay, so the first thing is all of these special contracts really have to be evaluated according to the concept of, if we don't do this, the customer will leave, right? If we don't do this, the customer will never come. And in that regard, nobody is actually paying for a special contract, right? It's the preservation of benefits that otherwise would not be there, right? So Occidental Chemical or Spirit or, Holly Frontier, these other entities, every time we've ever done this analysis, and it's what the commission's general investigation showed, the issue is there first has to be a bona fide threat or that potentially this customer might leave, right? And if they do, well, then everybody's going to be paying even more. And so this is all about maintaining the existing benefit that is already there. The only cost, if you want to consider it that, is an opportunity cost, right? Clearly, if we could get away with charging all of these customers the full retail off the rack industrial rate, then there's a lot of benefit that is not being created for customers. And so in that regard, you're right. All of the other special contracts that Evergy has are located down in that South Central Kansas type of area. And so the opportunity cost, there's opportunity cost that's being spread throughout the entire system.
You cleaned it up for me. You'd think somebody with my background would not have used such inartful phrases like paying for the contract. Yeah, and just, I guess, to also elaborate on that issue of, why is this not shared with Evergy Metro? I think your perspective is, we can only look at this from a rate making perspective, not the broader economic development perspective. And ultimately, your position is that this comes out as a net benefit to customers in the EKC region. So even if you were an EKC customer, you wouldn't want to share that, whatever the rate making benefits are here. You wouldn't want to give load. On balance, you wouldn't want to share this relationship with other rate making jurisdictions, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
One real quick additional detail, because I may very well forget. I was looking at this morning. We talked earlier about the minimum bill provisions expressed in terms of dollars per kilowatt month, right? If you go back and look at those confidential numbers and then think about and compare that to what we pay in tariff rates that are approved by the KCC for interruptibility, right? For demand response programs, right? So demand response programs, historically, the ones that are in those special contracts and the ones that are in tariff rates that the commission has approved, and this is public numbers, those are $3 to $4 a kilowatt month, right? And then if you look at the demand response tariff that was just part of the large load power service tariff that you guys just approved. That's those are monthly numbers, but that ranges in the $6 to $7 a kilowatt month, right? And so those are capacity contracts. Historically, those are based loosely on observed market contracts for capacity in the Southwest Power Pool. And historically, they've also been based on the embedded cost of generation to serve these customers. And so if you're looking at numbers in that $3 to $7 a kilowatt month level is sort of that's what we paid people to interrupt during the most extreme demand times on the system. And that's directly recognizing that that's the benefit that the system is avoiding, right? It's like we'll pay $3 to $7 a kilowatt month because we can avoid the costs of, building generation to serve you at $3 to $7 per kilowatt month. And then think about the minimum bill provisions that are in this special contract. It's a lot more than that, right? So that's why I can speak so confidently in that Evergy has already been planning to serve this customer. Those costs, we know what they are, and I know what they are in dollars per kilowatt month, and they are less than those minimum bill provisions, right?
Okay, I'm going to be nicer to you than I was to Mr. Clint. I'm not going to ask you about policy on renewing special contracts moving forward because I can walk into your office any day of the week and ask about that. So I can't do that to Mr. Clint.
There's a real opportunity to put that on the record.
I know.
Anybody listening already knows. So.
I do want to ask you, just generally, you heard my question about the design of the energy blocks, that, it's a discount, then it's an even steeper discount. And then as you approach sort of the contract capacity, probably, it's not so discounted. I guess I'll just leave the question open-ended of, did you have discussions with the company about why they designed it that way? And, what are your thoughts on, is that an intentional design to do something specific, or what was it intended to do, if so?
Yeah, it is. It was very intentional to do something specific. And, to your point, it's basically a accountability mechanism that says, not only are we not contractually obligated to serve you more than this level, but if you go above that, you're going to pay for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's helpful. That was my read as I looked at the blocks, but just wanted to get that on the record. So I don't have anything further. Commissioner Keen, Commissioner Keither. Okay, Mr. Grady, we thank you for your testimony. I know you've got a lot going on right now. So
Thank you.
We appreciate it. You may step down. All right. Are there any final matters before we conclude the hearing? Mr. Flaherty.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Panasonic just wanted to thank all the parties and the commission in its timely review of the contract. One of the things that you've probably seen in the application is, and this was Panasonic's request, that the order be issued by February 1st. Given the fact that all the parties are in agreement, and I know in the script here, we have a March 2nd date, we would request, if possible, and given your schedule, that the commission issue the order so the contract could go into effect if approved by the commission on February 1st as opposed to March 2nd.
I did note that in the application and the motions. I won't make a ruling on that right now, but we will take it under advisement and bring it up with our presiding officer.
Thank you.
Pre-hearing officer. All right, if there is nothing further this morning, this does conclude our hearing in docket number 26 EKCE 110CON. A commission order in this docket is due by March 2nd, 2026, but may come earlier. If there are no further matters, we will adjourn. Thank you.